environmental conservation and disaster management. Uh, I hope I am audible to you and the screen is also visible to you. Am I audible? Okay, okay. Okay, then we can start with this. So this subject is known as environmental conservation and disaster management. In this particular subject, what you are going to learn is that how can we conserve the environment and how to protect ourselves when it leads to a disaster. This particular subject has been introduced in your diploma level of engineering because as being an engineer we have a responsible role towards the society in order to protect the environment and also to save the society during the disaster period. So in this particular lecture, in this particular subject, I am going to take the portion of environmental conservation, and my colleague Jai Pandya sir will take your topic of disaster management. So this particular chapter, this particular subject has been divided into two parts. Going forward to this, I first like to introduce you the syllabus of this subject, because according to my knowledge this is our first this is a first lecture of this particular subject. Right, am I right about this? And if it is so, then we can continue with our syllabus, and else we can continue with our topics. So is this your first lecture? Okay, then we will continue with our syllabus first and then we will continue with our topics. Right, so let me introduce you the syllabus of this particular subject. In this subject, what are the things that you have to go through and what are the subject codes, what is the name. So this is a subject that has been introduced to your first semester, and in this you have to study the environmental conservation and disaster management, which is having a subject code 09CI1102. This is a general subject which is introduced in each and every branch of engineering: civil, mechanical, electric, computer and chemical engineering. It has a credit of 2. It has a 2 credit. That means there will be a 2 labs per, there will be a 4 labs per week. So 4 lectures a week and 2 labs a week. Now, how this subject is distributed: in this subject you don't have a theory sessions, you just have a laboratory hours. So you just have a practical hours in order to have a good practical exposure, right? So this particular subject is concentrated to have your practical exposure towards the environment, environmental problems, environmental issues, disastrous issues, and much more, right? So this doesn't carries any of the theoretical marks, and more and above, this particular subject is skill based subject. That means you don't have a theoretical exam at the end of the semester, but you will have only a practical exams at the end of the semester. Practical exams, viva, and your assessment will be a continuous assessment during the entire semester. So it's not like that you will have a particular exam at a particular time, but you will have a task with a particular syllabus completion. So in this subject you will have a continuous assessment. This particular subject contains 30 marks of internal assessment and CSE rubrics. This both are the things that we have to, this both are the task related assignments that you have to complete, and you will get a marks on this. Right. So you don't have a theoretical exam, you don't have to write a paper for this, but you have to complete a assignments and task for this particular subject. Now going forward, for a viva and term work, you will have questionnaires regarding what you have learned for the entire semester, and in term work, the assignment which has been given to you, In term work, you just need to submit and show that completion of that entire task, entire assignments, and this totally carries a 50 mark 100 marks. Okay, so as I told you, this portion is divided into two part. First part is environmental conservation and your second part is disaster management. So in first part, when you go to the environmental conservation, you are supposed to learn the introduction to the environment. What is environment? Why environmental conservation is required? What are the importance of environment and the scope of all these things? Now, when we go to the environmental studies, after completion of environmental studies, the second unit starts with the global environmental problems. So we are supposed to learn that what are the global environmental issues. For example, global warming. Then we have the effect of climate change. We have ozone depletion. We have acid rains, and these are the global problems which we are facing right now due to the environmental change or the pollution that we are creating. Okay, and then we will lead to the environmental bylaws. Environmental bylaws has some rules and regulation. It will teach us the rules and regulation that has to be followed to protect the environment, and that is been given for the international law also and for the Indian laws also. In Indian laws, we do have some provisions where we have to see that our product or our byproduct do not harm the environment, and if it is harming, then you will not get a permission, or you will be having a fine, or you will be having a punishment for this particular things. So to study this, we will study the environmental bylaws. In fourth unit, I must say that it is a pollution and types of pollution. Although you might have studied this type of pollution and what is the pollution, what are the pollution effects. But when you are in engineering, you are supposed to correlate it with your branch, and then you are supposed to see that how can you reduce it or take care about this productions. So environmental pollution, in that I say that there are four major pollutions, which are air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, or solid waste pollution, and again and last, that is noise pollution. Now leading forward, we have a disaster management. In disaster management, there will be the introduction. There will be an introduction to what are the disaster and how it occurs and what are the hazardous things that it might lead to, right? And how it develops. What are the roles of engineer in disaster management? As an engineer, what are our roles in disaster management? So these are few things that we are supposed to go through in this topic, in this chapter. Then going to the natural disasters. Then you have to see that which type of natural disasters are there. Which type of natural disaster occurs in our usual yeah, which are the natural one and that occurs usually, which are that are earthquake, cyclones, flood, and volcanic things, volcanic activities. And in man-made disaster, you are supposed to see that what are the civil spreads, technological disasters, human settlements, slow disaster, that means the drought and all that things. And these are few things that are a man-made one. Drought, again man-made one. Yes, because we don't use the water with some precautions, because it is available freely. Now going to the last thing, it is onset disaster. Rapid onset disaster, that means the disaster which occurs without giving any kind of uh, any kind of previous notice or a previous signs that it is going to occur. For example, if there is a rainfall, it is a heavy rainfall, then you might get an idea that flood will occur because of this rainfall. But when there is a air crash, or there is a tsunami, or there is a wave, tribal wave, then we don't know that it was going to occur. It occurred it occurred rapidly. It was not. It haven't given any sign that I'm going to occur. So these are the onset disaster, rapid onset disasters. Now you have a Bloom's taxonomy for this, and in that remembrance are at a least point, and you have to understand the maximum things. Now there are few experiments also that you are supposed to perform during this subject in your entire semester. That is a digital level meter, sound level meter, which checks the noise pollution, a digital air quality meter, which checks the quality of air, digital handler anemometer, which gives you a wind velocity, wind speeds, and that is again a pyranometer, which gives you the measures of solar radiation level. So this is a whole thing which you are supposed to study in this particular subject. So I hope now you are clear with the subject that what are the things that you are supposed to learn in this particular subject. Now we'll start with our first chapter, that is a first unit, that is introduction to environment. Right. So this is the introduction to environment and environmental studies. In this, let me start with what is environment. So if I'll ask you that what is environment, so can you answer me that what is environment? Can you answer me what is environment? You can on your mic, you can start on your mic and give me a reply.
Hello, sir.
Yes, hello.
Environment. You can simply say these are things which are surrounding us, or this is the nature around us.
Right, exactly. The environment is what that is around us, that is surrounding to us, everything that could be a living and it could be a non-living also. So this is what we say about environment. So it includes each and everything. It doesn't leave anything out of this. So, in simple words, if I describe an environment, if I want to define an environment, the environment is the sum of the total element, factors, and conditions in the surrounding which may have an impact on development, action, or a survival of organism or a group of organisms such as we human being. So if I say it is something that helps a survival of organisms, for example, survival of human beings, survival of animals, birds, and aquatic life. So this is what environment is. It can also be defined as the external surrounding and the condition which directly or indirectly affect the living organism. So the main point of the environment is that if it is affecting the living organism, then it is a part of environment. Now we have a distribution of environment in two different categories. First, it consists of biotic factors, and then it consists of abiotic factors. Abiotic factors. Now, what is biotic factors? So, biotic factors are something that are a living one that has life. For example, it's a human, it's a bird, it's a I can say it's a trees. Again, trees are the biotic things, and then I can say the fishes and aquatic life. So this all things, microorganisms such as bacteria, fungus, algae. See, all these things are in a biotic category. And now when we talk about abiotic category, then abiotic leads to mountains, rivers, valley, sea, lakes. So this all things are abiotic. They are not living, but we are highly dependent on that abiotic factors. For example, we human are highly dependent on the river for the water sources. The fishes are also dependent on seas and rivers for the life. Animals are also dependent on shelters which is available on land. So this, at the end of the day, we all are dependent on abiotic factors, although they don't have a life, but they are part of environment. And I can say it is a incredible part of environment, undivided part of environment, because if abiotic doesn't exist, then biotic also doesn't exist. So it this both are dependent on each other. Biotic factors and abiotic factors that surrounds us and with which we interact. This biotic and abiotic compounds are in a dynamic state. They continuously affect each other and cannot be isolated from each other. So, as I told you, that we cannot say that only biotic things are the superior one, or we can't say that only abiotic things are superior one. Both are dependent on each other, and if any single of this is not there, then I might say the balance, environmental balance will get imbalanced. So these are the things, right? Okay, then we have a next things, that which are the things that includes in abiotic one. So these are few things which are the examples of biotic factors. All the living organisms, such as living organisms, plants, animals, and microorganisms. So in plants, I can say we have a trees, we have a crops, we have a pulses, we have different types of plants. Some flowers, some fruits, and when we talk about the animals, the animal world that is around us, but when we talk about the microorganisms, these are some microorganisms which are dependent and which are the undivided part of environment. For example, some good bacteria, some protozoas, and some fungus, some algae, mushrooms. So this all things are a organism. These organisms are highly dependent on, there are highly required organisms to continue the environmental process. For example, bacteria is highly required for the degradation of any waste, right? Organic waste. It could be a body of human being, it could be a dead body of birds or animals, anything. But when microorganism attacks there, then it gets degrade and it gets in the environment, it comes back to the environment in some dissolved form. Although this has some negative things also. For example, the viruses are a part of microorganism, but according to the it is not included in the living species. Okay, then when we go to abiotic factors, now abiotic factors has something like water, minerals, gases, temperature, humidity, wind, light, and nutrients like carbon, potassium, oxygen, nitrogen, and all that, etc., etc. So these are some things which are included in biotic and abiotic factor. Now, when we see this life cycle, then what are the things that we observe in this life cycle? See, we observe that a sun is an ultimate source of life, right? If there is no presence of sun, there will be no presence of life, because all those things are dependent on sunlight. So once we start with the sunlight, what happens? Sunlight gives a growth to the plants, to the crops, and to the organic living, and to the environment. Right. These plants are then feeded by carnivores. Carnivores, that means the animal category which are dependent on the vegetarian foods, which are dependent on crop, which are dependent on green foods, which are dependent on vegetables. Now, where this carnivorous is then being feeded by carnivores. Carnivores are that which are dependent on the life of carnivores, or on the life of carnivores also. They are not, uh, they don't differentiate in that, but they are meat eater. So that are carnivores. Now this both when leads to the degradation or some different things, then there will be a generation of fungus and bacteria. So these both things are being developed due to this. Now, these bacteria are again going to release the energy in the environment, and few of them plays a role in the cycle of and the environmental cycle. Now this due to the sunlight. Now it is about the sunlight and the plants which are there. Due to this, the nature or climate cycles also occurs. The climate cycle occurs due to sunlight and the crops which are there, or due to the trees which are present in the environment. So this is the whole chain, and we follow this whole chain. Now environment compounds of environment. That environment consists of four things. One is atmosphere, second one is hydrosphere, third one is lithosphere, and fourth one is biosphere. So our entire environment is dependent on these four compounds. Now, do you know what is atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and biosphere? You can on your mic and give me an answer. You can unmute your mic and we can have a discussion for this.
Well, I'm not really sure about this. Not sure, but biosphere. I think this is something which consists of something to do with the living organism, and then for the
Okay, we
atmosphere.
we go with a one by one. Do you know what is atmosphere? Only about atmosphere, right? One by one.
Okay. For the atmosphere, yeah, I know about that. I don't really know how I can explain it, but I know about the atmosphere, like the
So
condition.
okay, okay. So don't worry about if you are knowing or you are not knowing, right? It's okay. I just need to know that what understanding you have, and then I'll conclude that what actually it is, right? So that's only a conversation between us. So be purely be relaxed. It's completely fine if you are giving a wrong answer or right. It doesn't matters at all. We are just discussing our topic. That's it.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So don't worry, be
Alright.
relaxed. If you can explain me, then it's good. If you can't, then it's okay.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay. For the atmosphere, I think this is the space, which is like I can say in between the land or the surface from the land going up, maybe something like between the clouds and the land. That's what I understand by that.
Right, right. That's exactly right. And then what about a lithosphere?
This one I don't know. This one I don't know.
Okay. Do you know anything about hydrosphere?
Um, Hydrosphere. I think this one is sure about the percentage of hydrogen. Should be something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's not exactly what you told, but we'll go through that. And foremost, at a final, biosphere.
Biosphere is something which concerns life.
Yes, exactly right. Biosphere is something that consists of life. It includes everything where the life is occurring. Very good. So that was a good one. You tried really very good. And now let's see what it is. Right.
Thank you.
Okay. So when we are talking about atmosphere, atmosphere consists of the gases. Right. The gases which are there in the environment. This has some very good layers. See, the atmosphere consists of this many layers. It is thermosphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, uh, troposphere, and exosphere. So it is the layer of gases up till which the Earth climate exists. Beyond that, the climate of Earth does not exist. This is known as the atmosphere. It has a length up till, uh, I can say it has a length up till 2.5 kilometers from the ground level or a mean sea level. So that is the atmosphere. It consists of many gases. Majorly, there are some gases like nitrogen, oxygen, argon, carbon dioxide, neon, hexon, helium. So these are the things which is consist of, which are consisting the atmosphere, which are there in atmosphere. Now, when we talk about a hydrosphere, so hydrosphere is everything which is related to the water, the aquatic things. For example, rivers is a hydrosphere, sea, oceans, lakes, all these things are hydrosphere. So hydrosphere leads to the sources of water, where the water exists. And as we know, the majority of earth is covered with water. Now, third one, that is the lithosphere. Lithosphere is a sphere which has a land, which is related to the land, which is related to the hard surface of Earth. So, beyond this, where we are standing, beyond this land, inside the land, we have many layers up till the core of the Earth. And the study of these layers is known as a lithosphere. And the biosphere is the sphere that consists a life. It is a sphere of life. Now it could be aquatic life, it could be a aerial life, aerial that means the birds and all the things, and it could be a lithospheric life that means a human, animals, and all the things. So biosphere is a part of, I can say it has a part in atmosphere, it has a part in hydrosphere, and it has a part in a lithosphere also, because the life exists everywhere. So where the life exists, it is a biosphere. Now this is a biospheric cycle where atmosphere also has a role, hydrosphere also has a role, and lithosphere also has its role. Now talking about atmosphere, let us conclude about some atmospheric gases. So atmosphere, it is a mixture of various gases, water vapors, and subatomic particles that are entirely covered the earth, extending outwards several thousand kilometers. So it covers earth, it has a protection level to the earth, it is a protective level to the earth, and up till which there is it is known as the environment of earth. Okay, it composites. What are the composites of the atmosphere? Atmosphere has a gases like nitrogen, which is having a 78% of part. This is a molecular fraction. That means it is having a 78% of nitrogen, oxygen of 20%, and the other remaining gases within this remaining portion. So within this another 2 to 3%, this entire other gases are being present over there in atmosphere. So most ofly the atmosphere consists of nitrogen and oxygen, right? And as we know, the oxygen is the divine gas for the human existence. Now going forward, according to the height, there will be the change in the name of this sphere. So in atmosphere, we also have some different layers. First layer, that is known as a troposphere. Second layer, that is known as stratosphere. Third sphere, that is known as a mesosphere. Fourth sphere, that is a thermosphere. And still there is a fifth sphere, that is known as exosphere. That is the last one. So with a height, there are the changes in the gases also, the atomic formations also, and the way how that layers act. Some layers are really very cold, and some layers are really very hot. So now we are talking about troposphere. The lower portion of atmosphere is known as a troposphere. What is a troposphere? That is the lowest, most part of the atmosphere, that is known as a atmosphere, right? So that is our troposphere of most lowermost part of atmosphere. Now existing, how up till what it exists. So when you go to the polar, it has the existence up to 8 kilometers and 16 kilometers at equator. If you count from equator, it is at a 16 kilometers of height. When you count from a poles, it is of 8 kilometers height. And altogether, when it comes to the average, it is 10 to 11 kilometers from the surface of earth. The temperature decreases at the rate of 5 to 7 degrees centigrade per kilometer. So as you go higher and higher, the temperature gets lesser and lesser. So it becomes colder and colder, right? Strong vertical air movement responsible for the rapid and complete mixing. So it is a strong vertical air movement. It has a vertical air movement where you can feel the breeze, where you can feel the air movement. Beyond that, beyond this troposphere, you will never find the air, the circulation of wind. You will not find these things. So all these things are there in troposphere only. Now after troposphere, we go to the stratosphere. Now what is stratosphere? When we talk about a stratosphere, it is above troposphere, and it exists up to 50 to 55 kilometers from the land. So it has the height of 50 to 55 kilometers from land, and up to 20 kilometers the temperature remains constant. There is no increase with the increase in height. But beyond this 20 kilometers, there is a high, the temperature rises there. It increases with the height. So it constantly increases when you go higher and higher in a stratosphere. So stratosphere is a hot sphere, I can say, and maximum amount of ozone layer is there in a stratosphere. So now what is the ozone layer? This is an important one. What do you know about ozone layer?
About the ozone layer.
Yes.
I only know that the ozone layer protects us from the direct sunlight.
Yes, exactly. It protects us from direct sunlight.
Yeah, that's what I know.
Okay, that's very good. Okay, so basically, ozone layer is the layer of O3 gas, that is a three molecule of oxygen. It consists of O3 gas, and this gas, what it absorbs the sunlight. It will absorb the sunlight, and then it will go to the environment. It will go in so now that absorbed radiations, then this absorbed radiation is transferred to the earth. So the harmful radiation which were there coming directly from the sun is been resisted at ozone layer. So it has been restriction layer, I can say. It has been restricting layer where the harmful radiations are being absorbed. So it protects us from the ultraviolet rays that occurs, and that is harmful to us. It is harmful to our skin, which is harmful for the temperature, which is harmful in a temperature rise. It leads to a temperature rise and many more things. Climate changes, uh, melting of uh, ice at a pole, at Antarctic and Arctic. So this is the main major layer. And although we know that at a polar side, at a pole, right, the ozone layer has been become very thin and it has depleted also, and due to which the ice at the pole are melting with a tremendous rate, which is really, really, really very bad, and it also leads to the climate change because the sea level increases, the amount of water in sea is also increasing. The pure water which was conserved in a form of ice is also increasing in the sea. So this is all about a ozone layer. And now when we talk about a mesosphere. So mesosphere, it is a layer above the stratosphere and exists up to 80 kilometer. So it is up to the 80 kilometer, that is the mesosphere. The temperature decreases slowly with the altitude, but then sharply about to 75 minus 75 degrees centigrade. So here the temperature is really very low and it is a cold sphere. I can say this sphere is really very cold. This sphere, usually the meteors, when it enters to the earth, at this sphere, it completely gets destroyed. It destroys completely. So it is a protection layer for us from meteors. Although the meteor starts burning in a thermosphere itself and gets destroyed in a mesosphere. Right. So see this line, this picture. This shows you the temperature. See over here at a downstairs, right? At a downstep, here you can see in a graph, it has written the temperature. So average temperature in troposphere, I can say it is 20 degree, and when you go above, there will be a decrease in the temperature. At a 10-kilometer height, the temperature decreases up till 60 to 65 minus 60-65 degree centigrade. Here it is centigrade and here it is a Fahrenheit. So it decreases to 50-55 degrees centigrade and sharply increases sharply. Sharply it remains constant up till 20 kilometers. See here you can see up till 20 kilometers it remains constant. And then again the temperature falls. It increases, temperature increases when you are going to the stratosphere up till 40 to 45 degree, up till 40 to 45 kilometers. Temperature increases and it comes back to 10 degree or to 5 to 10 degree centigrade, and then again it will observe a sharp hike, and then it will again go down, 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 down up till minus 90 degree centigrade when it reaches to 85 kilometers to 80 to 85 kilometers. So this is how the temperature differs. This is how temperature bro, this is how temperature differs with a spheres with increase in the height of the atmosphere. Is it visible? Na? Right, right. Is it okay? Na? You understood this image. I have kept this image for that only.
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Yes, yes. So I have kept this image to for the clear understanding only. Now in thermosphere, the temperature increases rapidly. So temperature is really very high at thermosphere. See here you can see it reaches to 50 degrees centigrade. It's really very high. Right? Heating of this layer is due to the absorption of solar energy. So all the solar auras are absorbed in this layer. So when it gets absorbed over there, so it is but natural that the layer temperature will increase because it has absorbed the heat. Within the thermosphere, there is a layer of change in particle known as an ionosphere. So it is a charged particle which has a ionosphere. So it has a charged particle which is positively and negatively charged, and it has a really very much of moment over there. This moment is protecting layer for what? It is a protecting layer from meteors, from the meteors that are directly striking to the earth. Now exosphere is the last sphere in the atmosphere, and it is having a really very thin layers of gases, and it extends up to 2000 kilometers above the earth. This layer is almost airless, or I can say it is empty also, almost, because as I told, it is a thin layer, and it is very thin layer, and it consists of hydrogen gases and ionized state. So this hydrogen gas is also present there, but it is in ionized state. It means it is in active state. Thus the temperature over there is really very high, which is about 1200 degree centigrade. Temperature of furnace, I can say a furnace has this much amount of temperature, so it is really very high and it can melt anything over there. So before entering to the earth, any particle has to enter from all the sphere and then reach to the earth, which is nearly rare occasion. You don't find the things coming from the sky to the earth frequently. It is a rare to rare occasion where something comes from the sky and can enter to the atmosphere of earth, and then it will come to the earth also, else it will destroy in between itself. So that's what we are supposed to learn about environment for today. We will keep up till the atmosphere. Now I'll give you a task that you are supposed to submit at a in our next lecture, and your task is about to know is it's about to give me some presentation related to the atmosphere. So you will give me a sort of briefings about all the sphere in the atmosphere, right? So troposphere, what are the tropospheric gases? Then exonosphere, what are the exonosphere gases? Which are troposphere gases? What, how this layer acts? what is the real implementation of this, what is a requirement of this layers, and all that things. So in next, our next lecture, you can you prepare a presentation for this? Is it okay? Do you have a laptop or computer with you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, then can you prepare a presentation for this? A short of
Uh,
presentation? Yes,
okay, sir.
yes, because our subject is purely dependent on activity and task. Here I'll teach you, but I can say I'm not here to teach you, I'll guide you that what it is. So we will evaluate everything from our inner logics, right? So then
Yes,
we
sir.
will have a discussion about your presentation and all this thing. So in our next lecture, after a week, what you are supposed to show me, you are supposed to show me the presentation on atmosphere. What is atmosphere? What are the gases are over there? What are the spheres over there? What is the effect of this sphere? And what I have thought was a brief one. Now you will give me a deep understanding about this. And we will have a short of discussion about this.
Okay, sir. No problem, sir.
Okay. Uh, okay. So, bye bye and have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.